Alright, so here's the thing. I'm 16, Gen Z, and I'll be real with you, I've never dated anyone before. But I've spent a lot of time watching how dating and relationships work today, listening to people, reading studies, seeing how culture shapes all of it. And honestly, from where I'm standing, it looks like dating has become way more complicated than it needs to be. So, in this episode, I want to break down why that is. Why it feels like finding a stable relationship is almost like winning the lottery. Why politics, individualism, and even the rise of sex work all play a part. Let's talk about it. Hard to see why dating feels like such a mess today. One of the biggest reasons? Politics. This isn't exactly new, but it's definitely gotten worse. Richard V. Reeves points out that Gen Z women in the US are about 30% more liberal than men. That's a huge gap, and it bleeds right into people how view relationships. While we're here, let's talk about feminism. Not feminism in general, but this newer wave of extreme individualistic feminism. Lorraine Villarejo put it well. She said when individualism goes too far, which is where we're headed, it actually blocks us from building meaningful relationships. If both people are hyper independent, always pushing to keep control or prove a point, it just breeds conflict. No one wants to give ground. Small disagreements spiral. And when politics gets mixed in, even tiny differences can wreck a relationship. So how do we fix that? The most obvious solution is simple to say, but hard to do. Reduce the power politics has over our personal lives. It's okay for two people to disagree. In fact, it can be healthy. But right now, because of how polarized everything is, and how deeply individualism runs, that feels almost impossible. Do I think it'll change soon? Honestly, probably not. But over time, people tend to get burned out. Just look at how Gen Z drinks about 20% less than millennials. Trends shift. Eventually, maybe people will get tired of politics running their love lives too. Another big issue? The rise of online sex work. It makes sense why it's booming. Crushing college debt, insane housing costs, raising kids, it's expensive to just exist. Platforms like Fansly and OnlyFans make it easy to earn money. According to Newsweek, about 70% of Americans using OnlyFans are women. That's roughly 1.4 million women in the US alone. But that creates a dating problem, because a lot of relationships rely on exclusivity. And even sex workers themselves say it's tough enough to date. Hannah Dobro from BuzzFeed interviewed them, and most said people they're seeing get mad about the work, or just can't commit. Traditionally, sex was tied to starting families. So when that changes, it naturally shifts to what people are looking for. If one person wants stability and family, and the other is part of an industry that complicates that, it creates tension. So what's the fix here? Honestly, it starts way before adulthood. It starts with strong families. A lot of people turn to sex work because of financial stress. Parents who can provide, teach strong values, and keep kids grounded give them a huge head start. Dr. Greg Popcak highlighted a study showing that when fathers are deeply involved, it dramatically cuts the risk of girls engaging in early or risky sexual behavior. Other research backs this up for boys too. Now, I want to zero in on the core problem running through all of this: individualism. I've hinted at it already, but this is the main threat. When everything's about the individual, my goals, my needs, my identity, it makes building a relationship hard. Relationships require teamwork. They're about two people, not just one. And that's why we see so many of these issues. It's why sex work is normalized. It's why people let political differences kill potential relationships. It's why traditional family structures are looked at almost suspiciously. When personal satisfaction is at the highest priority, nobody fully wins in dating. Because no partner will ever be 100% aligned with you, and your only concern is yourself, you'll always be let down. So, how do we solve something as big as individualism? Honestly, we probably don't. At least not quickly. These things run in cycles. Society drifts away from tradition, then, after enough frustration, people start longing for the old days again. It ebbs and flows. Eventually, enough people might get tired of how isolating hyper-individualism is, and the pendulum will swing back. Before I wrap up, I want to point out I've talked a lot about how women are affected by these shifts, but men are off the hook. 73% of single parent families are headed by women. Sure, sometimes it's because of court biases, but a lot of it comes down to men stepping away from responsibility, affairs, abandoning feelings, chasing personal pleasure over commitment. It all ties back to individualism. And dating culture doesn't help. Ideas like side chicks, bragging about body counts, they all erode trust for women. This is part of why extreme feminism even exists, a reaction to bad experiences with unreliable men. Biologically, men chase status and competition. In a hyper-individualistic culture, those instincts get amplified, often at the cost of loyalty. So let's pull it all together. Why is dating so hard today? Because we push so far into individualism that the basic building blocks of partnership, compromise, shared goals, sacrifice, are harder to find. Think of it like this. Imagine two people throwing darts. One is told to hit any shade of green, and their board is basically all green. Easy. The other is told to hit red, but their board is covered in 25 different other colors. It's going to take a lot more tries, and a lot more luck to land a match. That is modern dating. Thanks for sticking around. If this gave you something to chew on, or even something to disagree with, that's the point. Next time, we might tackle why trust is so low these days, or why dating apps are both amazing and terrible. Either way, I'll be here talking the talk. Catch you then.